Hi guys, welcome back to No Notions Travel. I am here today as part of our Sunday series on travel inclusivity. I am here today to do our travel with a hidden illness episode with Emily Larkin and Hannah O'Connor. Guys, it's so nice to have both of you on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Hi, my name is Emily Larkin, and I am the founder director of Invisible Disability Ireland, and it's an advocacy group that raises awareness on invisible disabilities. So I'm really excited to be here and get chatting.
So my name is Hannah O'Connor. I'm 25 and I live with a chronic hidden illness called POTS, which stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And so, yeah, it affects my life and travel a lot.
Can I ask, I'll just start with Emily. Can I ask what you would define as like a hidden illness or an invisible disability?
Yeah, I mean, like disability, the term has changed massively over even like the last 5 years. So it's anything that impedes you or stops you from doing something that an able-bodied person would do. And it ranges from maybe mental illness to physical disability to chronic illness to everything in between. And it can go from mild to severe. So disability is quite a different thing to what we would see. You know, we see the iconic blue and the person in the wheelchair, but that's not always representative of the disabled community. So a disability really can mean a lot of things, but I think the most used term would be someone who can't do something or someone who can't because of a disability is kind of the term I would use the most.
Okay, that is definitely a very detailed description. So I feel a lot more comfortable asking the rest of these questions. So can I ask, Emily, have you traveled much in the past?
Yes, I actually have. I'm very lucky. I've done a lot of travel, obviously like pre-COVID, with my illnesses. Yeah, the first time I went away, it was with when I actually was. So I was diagnosed when I was 13, and then I went on the French exchange at my school when I was 14, and that was the time my hair was falling out. So there was this kind of peer pressure, kind of embarrassment, and then I was taking all these tablets, and everyone else was just kind of, they didn't have to worry about the things I had to worry about. Airport security is sometimes a nightmare when you have little bits and things that, get stopped. So there's definitely like little things that I worried about initially, and then as I got older and started traveling by myself. So when you have the comfort of your family, they can kind of look after your meds, you're safe with them. They can take you to a hospital if there's ever an emergency abroad. But I went to Disneyland for the first time with my friend, and she was diabetic. So we
Okay.
actually kind of had support for each other, and like it went really well. We had the pass where we got to skip the queues, obviously, because we had chronic illnesses. So it worked out really well, and like we planned it, and we were always very conscious of, do we need to sit down? Are we doing too much? So I think when you travel, you're just taking into account things that other people would never have to take into account when you travel with a hidden disability. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And Hannah, what about yourself? Have you traveled much in the past?
I've done small bits, mostly with my family. And then there was a couple of holidays in my late teens. I had a boyfriend at the time and I went with his family. It definitely, do you know what? Actually, at that point, I hadn't been diagnosed with POTS yet. So we had no idea. But looking back, it was like bubbling underneath since I was like 15. And then it only amped up like I'd say 2 years ago, it got proper bad. So I was definitely like struggling on that holiday with them and like sweating like buckets. It was disgusting. And everybody was like, yeah, it was hot. They were kind of like, are you all right? Like,
Yeah.
and I was just so tired all the time. And I really needed to take naps. And now I know that I can't really plan much in advance. It's really hard to plan stuff. So if you said to me in a month's time, do you want to go to like Spain? I'd be like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel. And at the minute, I'm kind of okay. Like I'm having a good phase, but like I know like dead on, it's gonna get bad again. So yeah, no, there was a couple of holidays, but definitely that one sticks out in my brain for I was very unwell. I think I was starting to get there, and I just didn't know that that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Hannah, would it stop you from traveling in the future?
Yes and no. I think now I gave in there a while ago because I'm a little bit stubborn. I got a like a roller or a walker that you can also sit on, and you can like flip up the little footrests or flip it
Yeah.
back down. And that makes a huge difference, because even like, let's say I wanted to go to like Dublin to go to a museum or the zoo or something, without a doubt would need, I'd call her Sally, so I'll like refer to her as Sally. Like I would need Sally to do that. So it definitely would affect things, because last minute I can be really unwell and like get sick and stuff. So no doubt it will absolutely affect me in the future. It's like, I feel like the only way I can kind of travel is if it's like very spontaneous. Plan and stuff is really difficult.
Okay, so if it came to booking a trip out to like Australia or backpacking around Asia, it'd
God,
be
no
the
way.
kind of
No.
thing that you
No,
can't decide that the day before.
no, well, that's true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then
Yeah.
again, that would be a lot of walking.
Yeah.
Because when I with POTS, it's basically means that anything that your body is meant to do automatically, like your heart rate, the way your pupils dilate, all that kind of stuff, where your blood flows to, like holding in urine in your bladder, like all that kind of stuff, is all like gone a bit shit. So,
Okay.
do you know what I mean? So, like all of that would be affected. So yeah, I would never be able to go like backpacking or like anything crazy like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I understand. And Emily, how about yourself? Would it prevent you from traveling in the future?
Yeah, Hannah, like you raised an amazing point that like you're not always up to it and like your body can just say no, and
Yeah.
it's really hard. I have friends who were supposed to travel and then they ended up in hospital. They had to cancel their plans, and it's the absolute worst. And I'm actually being tested for POTS, but I have SVT, ST, and PAC. So I've just been recently diagnosed with cardiac conditions, and they've told me I'm not allowed to leave the country until they stabilize my heart. So that means like no travel for me. And like
Yeah.
it's just it's really hard, isn't it? Like people
Yeah.
take for granted the fact that they can just travel the world, do Asia, and like it's so hard when like these things have been taken away from you and like you want to do these things. It's very difficult, but there are ways around it, but yeah, you definitely have to think twice before you travel. And then when you actually can travel, like you have
Yeah.
to put in place the airline, you have to put in place the accommodation, like the walking. I'm like Hannah, I can't do massive amounts of walking. I have arthritis and fibromyalgia. So you have to take all these things into account, and suddenly it's like, a mountain trying to plan this holiday around your illness. But hopefully, if you can do it, go for it. But it is a challenge when you have an illness, and especially a hidden one, because then, people are less likely to understand, and, it's less evident. So, yeah, it is definitely more difficult to travel. And it's pretty shit, isn't it? But
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
life
dealing with
with it.
everybody else's like opinion on like, to the fact that like I'm young, I'm 25, I look even younger, and I'm walking around with a walker, and I can stand, like I can walk and move my legs, and like there'd be the odd day that I would like, I've never sat in a wheelchair, because I'm just the most avoidant person. And it's because I know people will judge me, and like they'll see me stand up from it and be like, oh my God, she's faking. And I'm not at all. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dealing with everybody else. Like I get followed around in shops, because I always have like, not bad now, but like big bag circles under my eyes, and like my pupils get really big. I probably look like I'm on drugs. So like dealing with other people, and then especially to add that into like a travel sense of like
In
being
a
in an
foreign
airport.
country with foreign languages.
Yeah, when you
Yeah,
can't explain it.
like,
How is it to travel, Emily, when you're with people who don't? I know you mentioned you were in Disneyland with a friend with diabetes. So what's it like then to travel with somebody who doesn't have a hidden illness and is not traveling on the same speed as you are?
Yeah, like I've great friends. They're very like, are you okay? Do you need to sit down? Like I'm very lucky to have those kind of people in my life. But yeah, like sometimes they just, they'll never understand. Like you're like, I'm great, let's go, let's hit the town, and like inside you're like, oh, I'm dead, I'm in pain. So
Yeah.
sometimes you have to balance putting it aside and being there for your friends, and then you have to balance minding yourself and taking a step back and saying no thank you. But I think if you've good friends or good family, and you're honest with them, and you say, listen, this is it, this is me, I don't do eat well, like yada yada yada, you explain your things, that's all you can do, and then hope that they just support you and respect, you know, your decisions that you make.
Yeah. Okay. And Hannah, I know you said you haven't had to travel too much since your diagnosis, but what's it like then to travel with somebody who's, not got a hidden disability?
Yeah, it's definitely a mix because a bit like Emily, like my friends are great. My family and my mom especially is very good. So I know if I was traveling with any of them, it would be fine. But I think on my end, it's kind of just like this super awareness of like they want to go and do fun things, and I kind of can't, or at least all the time. And like it's the amount of planning that like all of a sudden, like I'll just like you see me fade, and I need to lie down and have a nap. Because fatigue is a huge thing with POTS, I find anyway. And like, if we go for a meal, like 8 times out of 10, I'll have to have a 4-hour nap after I have a big meal.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's like they can be as nice as they can, and that's great, and I really appreciate it. But at the same time, I still feel bad. I think that
Yeah.
it would affect their holiday as well.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand that when you're traveling with somebody who's just like, they're like, yeah, let's go here, here, and here during the day, and you're like, no,
Yeah, I've
I'll
had
do
those
one of those.
experiences as well. Yeah, where they like it's all go go go, and like you're somewhere for like a day or 3 days, and they want to jam in as much as they can. So now I've kind of learned that like I just don't go on those ones because I'll
Okay.
just it's not, just
Yeah.
easier.
Okay. And if there were other people like you who have a hidden disability or a invisible disability who are afraid to travel, what would you say to them?
Um, well, don't let your illness stop you. I'm probably the opposite. I push through and I do too much, and I don't thank myself later for it. Like, do what you can. Like, especially COVID has put so many things into context. You don't need to go on this massive holiday to like Dubai or somewhere for you to have fun. Like, you can still go around Ireland if that's the case, or maybe you could try, like, if it helps, going like a ferry to England. Like, just try little things and, take it at baby steps. Or if you're going and you're not sure, go for less time, or just try out different things, because I think the world is there to be traveled, and I think it would be amazing. And you could always link up with a hospital team if that is like really the case where you really need medical care. Like, I think there's definitely ways around it, but it's that confidence in yourself to kind of take that step and take that risk and to do it. But I would definitely encourage anyone to travel, even if you have an illness. I think you can always work around your illness. But yeah, I think 100% definitely get out and travel.
Okay, and Hannah, what about yourself?
Yeah, no, I'd be similar. I think with an edge of, I should really take my own advice. What I want to say is don't beat yourself up about it.
Mhm.
And if you go and it goes terribly and you're really sick or whatever, like you will get back home and it'll be fine. So yeah, ideally I'd be on Emily's wavelength of go do it if you can. And
Yeah.
don't be too hard on yourself. Yeah.
Okay. I actually have two other questions that I wanted to ask just before the others. You mentioned, Hannah, that you have your walker Sally. When it comes to flying on a plane, where does Sally go?
I haven't done that yet. Now I've asked my best friend, her mom uses one. And as far as I know, it might be a case of ringing the airport in advance, or filling out a form or something. As far as I know, it gets put in with the luggage. It definitely doesn't come on the plane with you.
Right.
And I think they might have a system where you don't have to go up the stairs onto a plane. But having said that, now I haven't done it myself, so I could be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one that I will try and research a little bit more into when I'm writing up the article for it, because I know for myself even I'm like,
what do we do?
Yeah, it's almost like it's not the same, but like the buggies and other wheelchairs and stuff. I know a lot of those tend to be put into the luggage and stuff, but when you need it to move, it's kind of hard to know.
As well, I think I was asking my friend before, I was like, okay, but if I walk into the airport with my walker Sally and then I have to hand it over to luggage like straight away, I then am without Sally until I get off the plane. And she was saying you can ask in advance for a transit wheelchair to get through the airport. Now my negative opinion about that is that I'd have one of their staff has to push you through, which I hate.
Yeah.
It's not one of the ones where you can do yourself. But as far as I know, there definitely is a system there. I'm just not sure of all the details of it.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'll do my best to look up all the research about that
Yeah,
too.
let me know.
Yeah. And Emily, I know you had mentioned as well that you have that heart condition at the minute and they're not letting you travel, but is it difficult for you to get travel insurance if you were to go somewhere?
Oh, I don't know actually. My mom just has the family cover.
Okay.
I've actually no idea, but I know obviously insurance affects, like I'm learning how to drive. I haven't looked into the minute how that'll affect me, but I think maybe if you're not on a plan, you get ill and then you apply for travel insurance, I think it would be that little bit trickier. But
Okay.
yeah, I wouldn't advise people on travel insurance. Obviously, it'd be good to have it, but
Yeah.
it's not the be all end all. But I think yeah, when you have a chronic illness, it's more challenging.
Okay. And is there anything that could be done to make traveling for you easier in regards to the planning, the actual travel itself, the accommodation, the activities? One thing we're talking a lot on these episodes is about is like not letting you conform to the world. It's what can the world do to conform to you. So is there anything that could make it easier for you? Say even letting Sally come on the plane with you and let Sally go underneath the seats or in the overhead cabins or something like that. I'll start with you, Hannah. Is there anything that could make it easier for you?
Yeah, like I suppose, well, first of all, I always would love if like everybody just had a bit more of awareness about, just things that don't affect them, like, and it could be anything. So including like hidden and chronic illnesses and disabilities. I think, do you know what I'm always saying when I'm in different places? Because I'm like, where are the seats for the POTS people?
Okay.
Down. Like it's just so small. There's never any benches anywhere. Just stuff like that, and like hotels. Getting an accessible room is much harder than you would think, and a lot of them either don't have them or they're always booked out. So definitely more of those as well.
Okay.
Yeah, just the facilities like that make it that you don't have to like work as hard to get what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about yourself, Emily? Is there anything that would make it easier for you?
I'd agree with most of that. I think the sunflower lanyard is something. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but I find that's something really, really good to be able to use, especially like in the airport. There's not always seats at the gate, and you should be allowed first on the plane, especially if you have equipment, and then the hotel. Yeah, for Hannah, like if they've no accessible rooms, like what good is that for you if you have a disability? So, and then it's just awareness, isn't it? I mean, that's the massive thing. So I think there's a lot of things, but I think it would be a start if they maybe started with better things in the airport. I find Dublin Airport really poor for supporting people with invisible disabilities, but I
Okay.
think yeah, it's just the little things, but they all add up. So it'd be
Yeah.
great to see just more awareness on invisible disabilities, and big multinationals like Ryanair, like whatever, hotels.com taking on that, awareness of invisible disabilities
Yeah.
for us, to make it easier.
Okay. No, that is good to know. And just to follow up, Emily, when you said you were in Disneyland that you were able to get the pass to kind of go through the lines and stuff, is that specifically for somebody with a hidden illness?
Yeah, so Disneyland are actually amazing because it's for both. So it's for people with an obvious physical disability, and then it's for people with a not so obvious. And you do get the looks, I get it. You've waited 50 minutes for Indiana Jones, and I come waltzing in, and I get it, that's fair, but I wouldn't have been able to have gone to Disneyland. Like, there was no way I could have stood in hour queues. So they were amazing that they acknowledged invisible disabilities and actual like physical disabilities as well. So yeah, no, they were amazing. I definitely recommend it.
Okay, that's good to know. It is. There's a lot of things like that we've been talking about on these episodes where we don't realize that these things are in place for the people who need them, but they're also done in a certain way that not everybody can take the piss out of them either.
Yeah, you have to present yourself with documents, medical documents. Just
yes.
Yeah.
And did you have to pre-book that, or did you kind of land up the day of and kind of go, oh, I need this?
So yeah, you go to the city hall on the first day, and then they give you the pass. So
okay, was this in Paris or in Florida?
I've only ever been to the one in Paris. I think they've similar systems in the US, but they would be quite different.
Yeah. That's okay. That's also good to know that it is the one that's closer to home. So I'm on to my last question, my favorite question. And I know I've already asked Hannah, but you can give a different answer or you can give the same answer. Hannah, where is the first place you want to go when lockdown is over?
Okay, so I said Amsterdam the last time on the autism one. I'd love to go to Italy because I was meant to go a few years ago and I couldn't in the end. So definitely Italy. Yeah.
Okay. And say when you are hoping to go to Italy, is it the kind of thing that you will book like 4 days in advance?
You know what, with that, I think I would attempt to set it up at least a month in advance, but maybe have some sort of a system where, like, you know, with different hotels you can get like free cancellation, or if it's an Airbnb, I had to cancel that Airbnb before and I got all my money back. So I think as long as that's in place, it's not too bad. Yeah. Okay.
Good to know. And yourself, Emily, where's the first place you want to go when lockdown's over?
I really want to go to Greece. Have a nice sun holiday.
Everybody wants to go to Greece, and I think it's because of a huge like influx in people watching Mamma Mia over all the lockdowns. I stand by it. Everyone has said Greece to me, and we did a survey before we were launching the website, and Greece was the #1 place. And I stand by it. It's because of Mamma Mia and all of the ABBA songs. So
yeah, pretty fair.
Yeah. It was so lovely to have both of you on. This was such an important episode as well for us, and I'm so glad to have two incredible advocates for it. We have more episodes coming up. They're coming on every Sunday. So keep an eye out for those. I'm doing Jack's lines now, but please click subscribe. There's a little bell down the bottom. So you can see more of our videos, and yeah, just give us a thumbs up. So thank you so much again, Hannah and Emily, for coming on, and we will see you again hopefully.